lights off. You gotta do this solo. I want to do it like this, just my left ear.
I'm not doing that.
My left ear the whole time.
You gotta move your coffee.
Hang tight. There's a Bible. Allah.
Danny's coming. He's coming. There he is.
There.
Guys, I just spilled hot coffee on myself because this bird jumped out at me.
That bird almost attacked you.
Scared me to death.
Hot.
Chronicles of the back porch nest.
Backyard continues.
I mean, really.
It's just, I'm peeling.
You got me.
Y'all, at that little church parking lot service was lovely. Got a little sunburned.
We are so burned.
It's okay though. I need a little.
So sunburned. So sunburned. And of
sun in my
course,
life.
I wore like a cap sleeve, so I have a suntan line right here.
That's
It's
hot.
very awkward if you don't wear long sleeves.
I thought about wearing my tank top Sunday, but changed my mind. Trying to be subtle. Good evening, Father. Susie, you have
Susie's
your
house
house
is
under
under
construction. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Wow.
That's exciting.
That is, I guess.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully that's good for you.
Hopefully.
If not, let us know. We'll talk about it. That's about all we can do.
We can.
RG, good to see you, bro.
Hello.
Everybody's
We're on
jumping
time
on there.
tonight, so.
We're on time tonight.
Well, almost on time. We're a few minutes late.
Not terribly, just minorly.
Danny took the kids to the lake to swim. With
I did
Pastor
over
Rob
at the
today,
Rayner Estate, and
over at the pavilion, and so Nathaniel had
it wasn't
to have a
actually to
bath.
swim; it was actually to fish
Right, I was told they were fishing,
and ride a kayak.
and when
Which
I got
lasted-
there, they were swimming.
Man, I turned around. Those jokers get the water faster than anybody.
They
I've
had
seen.
vests on, so they were safe.
They had vests
Danny
on.
knows that's the rule for me. If I'm
That's
not
the rule.
there, vest.
That's right.
But Nathaniel needed a bath, and he ran us late tonight
That's right.
because he was waiting for the Tormado, which is when you open the drain and the water swirls around the drain.
Round and around and around.
I don't know if you know or remember from being a child, but that's the highlight of the bath is the Tormado.
Tornado at the bottom.
So if you fill the tub all the way up and then have to wait
Yeah,
for
be
it to
careful, it'll
all
suck you
drain
down.
out, the tornado doesn't
As a
happen
kid,
until the end.
you used to think like have ornament in the bathtub. I was like, these jokers are going down the drain. And then
Oh,
it's not a
man.
far cry to think I'm going to get sucked down
Yeah,
this drain.
it's
Like,
gonna happen. What
my
would
finger's
happen?
going to get stuck and I'm gone. They have Starbucks and people are so complaining.
Not only is Ingleton there. Yeah, that's right.
See what's happening? We could just crash Ingles. I
Is
see
this a
I see the train of
conversation
thought
that
now,
I'm coming
Tommy. Tommy's saying Ingles is open. They're legit.
Okay.
We could just show up and crash Ingles and have a church service.
Like cafe.
What's the worst that could happen? The
if we
cafe's
did our
already there.
parking lot service at Ingles, then
Or just like
the
meet on
cafe
the
could be
frozen food
Starbucks.
aisle. We could all have their own section.
frozen food aisle. What if you just crashed into Ingles and they were like,
We
"What's
could crash in Ingles.
Ingles,
we
is
could
Ingles
crash in Ingles
counting
well.
people as they come in and out? I know Walmart on Saturday
I don't know.
had to wait to be counted to go in.
Yeah. What do you do?
It's not fun. You wait. What
You
else?
wait.
What else can you do?
You wait.
James is scared to death of the drain.
We get it, James. We get it, buddy.
I remember being scared. Our kids aren't scared. They just will not get out of the bath until it drains all the way down. And, you know, the tornado doesn't happen until the last 15 seconds. So you're
That's
just
true.
standing there
Waiting.
thinking,
and
how
waiting.
long does it take to drain out this entire bathtub? It takes about 10 minutes is what it takes.
It's good
Big
stuff.
tub.
Oh, gracious
Must be
me.
nice. It must be
Just
nice
gonna
to
leave
be
it.
our kids. That's what I have to say.
Must be nice to be our kids.
Huge, big tub.
That I never use.
Right? We never use it. Yeah, it's not for us.
Those kids are clean, though. They're sparkling.
Also, they never use their bathroom. The kids have
They
a
don't.
bathroom just for them upstairs. The kids have the whole upstairs, and I think we could have not
We have a
built
toothbrush
the
holder.
upstairs.
How many of us are there?
2 of us.
2.
3
We're
children.
we're into that kind of thing in the Christian family. You know, talking about like one husband, one wife kind of thing. 2 people, and yet we buy a toothbrush holder that has 4 holes in it. You know, just in case. So
We've just had.
I have run out of toothbrush holes
In other words, the kids use
the last few weeks multiple
our-
times. Like I'll come in and my toothbrush will be removed from
Yeah.
the
The
tooth.
kids use our bathroom for everything. So they don't brush their teeth in their bathroom. They don't bathe in their bathroom.
That's
Very
right.
rarely does anyone use that tub. Most of the time, everything's happening in ours. And so now there's like this king of the mountain situation with the toothbrushes. Mostly during quarantine, this has happened, especially. It's like everything's merged all the way downstairs. And so the kids compete for whose toothbrush makes it into the
That's right.
parent toothbrush holder.
That's right.
And now they've started, have you noticed, they put their little minion
I noticed.
toothpaste on top, or
I noticed.
they all have
My
different
toothbrush is
little
laying in a puddle,
character.
which if you know me, grosses me out.
He does not
beyond.
like a puddle. Danny is not about a toothbrush battle. He's
Nope.
not about it.
Nope. I'm a fan of
He's
like
not about the bristles touching anything ever
no.
for any reason.
I'm a bristle free kind of guy.
So this has really been an adjustment for him.
We're learning. We're all learning, y'all. We are all learning.
So there's all the drama you need to know about
There's
our
all the
house.
drama. You're caught up on our life.
The bathroom sharing drama.
The bathroom.
We
sharing
built our
drama.
house with too many bedrooms and too many bathrooms because we don't use any except
That's
ours.
absolutely right.
Basically ours.
Absolutely right. Some exciting news. I just got a text earlier from our friends Jackie and Wilford Norris from church. You know Jackie and Wilford. They usually sit right up front,
Yes. Yeah.
expecting a baby.
Yay.
I know it.
Are we supposed to tell everybody?
I just asked
Is this
permission,
public
and she said that was
information?
fine. So
Oh,
now it's public.
congratulations.
So Jackie and Wilford, congratulations,
Glad we're
y'all.
not telling the
They
world something we're not
asked,
supposed to tell.
well, they asked for it as a prayer request because, you know, the world's kind of crazy right now, and they're both kind of high risk on a couple of things. But I said we'll be praying for that little baby. So
That is fantastic.
some good times. Be praying for them,
Fun
and
times.
also Hannah Lloyd's mom, Miss Susan, is going in to have surgery tomorrow. But it's a crazy time naturally as well. Usually Hannah would be with her mom in the surgery, not in the surgery itself, but in the
Thankfully,
waiting room and in the hospital, as would a lot of other folks, pastors and everybody. But right now, if you didn't know, they're not letting anyone go back to the hospital.
I bet they know. I bet everybody
Susan's husband Jim, who's an exceptional man, that's a good couple right there.
knows. Sweet.
Jim got cleared to go back with her, to at least go
good.
and wait
So
inside
he'll be
with
good.
her so that
Good.
she can hear that familiar voice as soon as she gets out of
That is
surgery. So
fantastic.
Hannah Lloyd is on here, I believe. So if y'all see Hannah,
She will
just
be
send
if
her a
she's not.
message and let her know that you're praying for her and her mom Susan
Mm-hmm.
and her dad Jim, as they're going through a pretty serious surgery tomorrow. But just be reaching out to them. Keep touching in.
Jim and Susan's house is beautiful.
It's amazing. It's good.
I think basically the story goes that they love Charleston and the house is in Charleston style, and so
Yep.
their house is in Rockdale County,
North Rockdale.
and it's sort of like you walked into Charleston.
It looks like Charleston.
It's basically like they were inspired
stunning.
by.
Big
it's
front porch.
Amazing, beautiful house, sweet dogs all
Love
over
the
the
house.
place.
We used to take the kids there to have a big dinner, and then we go to the horse park for 4th of July. When the 4th of July, right?
Probably.
I think, no, the music festival. When 104.7, The Fish, used to do the music festival at Conyers.
I'm sure that's right. I remember.
Anyway, we
being
would
at
go
the
and
horse
Jim would
park
like
or
cook
something.
out. We had a big spread.
And then we would go to
we
Brewster's ice cream afterwards.
Brewster's ice cream. Oh, that's
Brewster's, that was a good place. What happened to Brewster's?
good. Those were the days.
Except for it was very expensive, but it was good.
Yeah, that's right. Our daughter is asking about a while back. We went on a daddy-daughter date to Athens. We did something, and then on the way back, we stopped at some random one of the nice gas stations there in Watkinsville that has an ice cream bar inside, which I know sounds classy because that's just who we are. So
Sounds
we pulled
classy.
in. This is pre-COVID-19. Hold the
Oh, wait,
judgment.
this is the swirl. This is the
Dude, the
place.
swirl, y'all.
Is it an ice cream bar? I don't
I
understand.
don't understand. All I know is
Danny
they had
found it and showed it to
100
Caroline.
different toppings in one spoon, naturally, soaking in some warm water.
Mm.
So you get all that stuff. You mix, not the warm water. I made that part up. But you mix all this stuff, and we'd all share our germs and everything. It was just this big fun thing.
This was like
And then we would
5
go-
days before Corona.
Before Corona, it was totally fine. So now she keeps asking to go back. I'm like,
Oh well, she
that might have-
learned all of her sight words, and at school, the teachers give you a lovely ice cream sundae with all the choice toppings that you want if you
That's right.
read all 10 lists. Well, she
accomplished.
crossed the finish line during quarantine.
During
so now
quarantine.
that exciting opportunity
So
falls
now the
to us.
buffet thing seems like
And
they're going
I
to the
even
wayside.
said, I'll let you go in the store with me and pick out the sprinkles and
It's
the
not as
whipped
good.
cream.
It's not as good as the gas station swirl.
No, we have to go to the swirl station at the gas station corner. It has to be a special trip. I have to be the one to take her
That's right.
because Daddy's already been there. And that's it.
That's it.
done.
That's done. That's it. Sabu. Good
So
to see you,
now
bro.
I
He's
get
on
to
here.
go to Watkinsville Swirl Station
Yeah.
and share all the germs.
We're going to keep it classy, y'all. We're going to keep it
Corona.
classy during coronavirus.
Thanks,
and
Dad. Thanks, everybody.
probably come out of there with a box of ice cream sandwiches because that's about all you're going to get. They're not going to be having the buffet swirl thing for a while.
You're the one who has. I can't break that to
I'll
her.
break that news.
She's like, "Are we going to every day? Is today the day?"
I know. People are
Is today
so
the-
excited. Like Jesse Span on Saved by the Bell.
Maybe
If you don't know that one, just Google
if
it.
you're verbally referencing a GIF, is that fair? I don't think I know the one you're talking about.
There's a GIF of Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell screaming,
do drugs,
I'm so
girls and
excited
boys, because
she was on uppers, and it was a serious. I thought I was addicted to
we
drugs.
were going
Like, I
to
was
jail
scared.
for watching that episode. That was happening. The police were doing a raid of us.
Nope. Get that stuff out of my house. So,
Long story short, she was so excited.
long story short,
That's basically that is the episode. Nothing really happens except for it's just like a don't do
I'm
drugs.
so scared, and that broke my heart. I was crying. I was like, Jesse, get off that stuff. I don't even know what it is. I was hurting for her. Zach Morris was there for her. AC Slater. They
It
all
was a
pulled.
struggle. The struggle was real for that one episode, and then she broke her addiction 17 minutes in, and she never looked back.
Never look back. Changed all of our lives forever. All right.
Zach
Tonight,
Morris was a bad influence on her in general.
Zach Morris
That's
was
what
not a bad
my mom
influence.
said. She didn't like that show because Zach
Oh,
Morris.
Zach.
He was not a model citizen. She
Oh,
didn't
wow.
say that, but I'm just saying he wasn't. He
I'm
would
not
skip
questioning
class,
anybody.
all the things.
I'm not starting that debate tonight. I ain't got time.
He was not a role model for us in our house. He wrecked the car and lied about it. All these things he did. Think back.
Y'all are more of a VeggieTales family. You know you were.
Oh, I know we were. That's why I know all of them from the YouTube.
The YouTube
battle.
thing. Anyway,
Look, when you're homeschooled, you're homeschooled. That's
When
all
you're
you can. That's all you can say.
that's a bumper sticker. When you're homeschooled, you're homeschooled. When you're homeschooled, dot.
It's a class all
You're
its
homeschooled.
own. I know. I know what you're saying.
Cheers. Look at that
I know what you're
ginormous
thinking.
cup. It's massive.
You picked it. It is our Lake Point volunteer cup, though. Lake Point volunteers, you should have this.
Lake
If
Point
you
volunteers.
don't, we probably have
We'll
one
get you
for
one.
you.
We have extras.
They're
They're
in the
covered in
attic
some
in a
dust right
box.
now, but we'll get it. We'll get
It's
it to you one
actually
day.
really good for like soup or cereal or ice cream. It's really a bowl. It's not really covered.
Soup or cereal or ice cream. All the above.
Not necessarily coffee. But if somebody
If you want
buys
a
you a
lot of
brand
coffee,
new Ninja
y'all-
coffee pot,
I'm not gonna lie. This is the hottest cup of coffee we've had in 6 years.
we are pretty thrilled about it.
We're thrilled about it. We're breaking it in.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to do this Bible study?
Let's do it.
If you got a Bible, open it up to the book of Nehemiah.
It's in the
If you
Old
don't know where it is, it's in
Testament.
the Old Testament. Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther.
Job, Psalms. So Psalms
Here
is
we
the
go.
very middle.
Psalms in the middle.
Homeschool, I know.
Go that
Go
way from
back
Psalms.
towards the front a little bit.
Be opening that joker up. Learned a couple things today. Read a little commentary, to catch up for the evening. In the Hebrew Bible,
He wasn't even
Jewish
in school.
people speak Hebrew, back in the Old Testament especially. Hebrew Bible, Ezra and Nehemiah was one book, is one book still.
I read that, but I don't have I have a study Bible.
The King James Study
They told
Bible will
me
change
that.
your life, I'll tell you what.
I feel like whoever wrote my commentary was related. My study Bible notes
Yeah,
are very similar to your
same.
commentary.
I mean, there's only so
Probably
many
the same.
facts and figures you work with, too.
Someone read your same commentary and then wrote my Bible.
All I know is these people know the Bible.
They did.
So,
it was maybe
in Ezra Nehemiah. This is a section, just so y'all know, that I personally have always just had a difficult time, even from Sunday school. I never missed a Sunday school class. I always got the gold star for attendance. Dan, thanks, Dan Harrell. We were there. But for some reason, this whole section of it's called the exile,
Of the
exilic period, like the timelines, and where are these people fitting in? Let's have a quick recap if that's okay.
Can I just say that I learned that this is the last history record
Yes.
of the Old Testament?
Isn't
it's
that
not
impressive?
a lot of people think that the Bible is in chronological order, but it's not. It's not the way we have it set up. The 66 books are not necessarily from beginning to end. It
So, yes, right.
skips around. So this is the last
This is
historical
the last.
book.
That's right.
Now you go with your.
Well,
knowledge.
that's very true, because at the end of this, which is around 425 BC, right, stands for before Christ, BC, it's called the silent period, the period after pretty much Nehemiah and Ezra, and these guys start getting quiet. The Jewish people say, God, where have you gone? We have no prophets until Jesus shows up on the scene, for real. That's when it picks back up. But yeah,
Are you
so
going to say
a
anything
quick,
about Daniel?
no.
Okay,
ahead,
you
though.
go. I'll do Daniel
That's
again.
what's up. Tag team back again.
You go first. I have Daniel.
That was an explosion. All right.
Mine didn't explode.
So, if you don't want to learn anything, this is the time for you to check out, because we're about to get into it. So,
Wow, mine's
the
not that
kingdom of
exciting.
Israel consisted of two parts, the north and the south. The northern kingdom, which was referred to as Israel, consisted of 10 tribes. Jacob had 12 kids. They end up each being a tribe. A tribe.
Marriage.
12 marriage from the tribe of Benjamin. Anyway, the tribes up in the north actually fell. The northern
that right.
kingdom of Israel, the 10 tribes that settled in the north, fell to the Assyrians in 721 BC. So they fell first. That was that was the northern kingdom of Israel. Again, that's about the 10 tribes. So 721 BC. Almost 200 years later, In 586 BC, another people group. The Assyrians were a people group, like Americans, Canadians, Mexicans, all that stuff, different countries.
We know what people groups
The
are.
Assyrians come in, they take over. Well, then the Assyrians go out. Within the Babylonian kingdom, the Babylonian empire starts to rise. And in 586 BC,
Okay.
the southern kingdom, which is referred to as Judah, which was pretty much, it was two tribes. Judah, the tribe of Judah, and the tribe of Benjamin. True story. So the two southern tribes fell to the Babylonians. That's the name Nebuchadnezzar. That's when we were talking about Daniel. If you want to say something about Daniel here.
I do.
That was the time that Daniel and the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those guys.
I'm gonna this is giving the background in my Bible, and it says the last decree of Artaxerxes I, which was the I think that's the king that Nehemiah is the cupbearer for. So we read tonight that Nehemiah is a cupbearer for a king, and he has a really super cool name, Artaxerxes I. Not to be confused with all the other Xerxes.
2 or 3.
There's a lot of them, but anyway. This decree that he made is a unique prophetic importance because it marked the beginning of the, quote, 70 weeks forecasted by Daniel. If you have ever studied anything about Daniel, which we're not going to do on the back porch, but I'll just give you a quick.
Solid. So good.
He has this dream about 70 weeks, and he kind of outlines like the rest of history, where a week really kind of means a week of years. So it's like a segment of time that's a long time. And ultimately, it's going to equal 483 years. And then, basically, he's
proselytizing? What word are we going for?
Prophesying the time from this beginning stage all the way until the coming of the Messiah. And it actually works out that this is what happens. To start that timeline is this decree that we read about here.
That's right.
So this book sort of sets that day in stone, and then you can actually fast forward the exact number of years that Daniel prophesied about, and then Jesus comes.
That's right. Absolutely. Now we're in the 70th week. That's all. The millennium reign comes later. Anyway, different stuff, different topic. So the Babylonians come in 586. Southern kingdom falls. Well, then shortly after that, the folks that are left are overtaken by the Medes and the Persians. They're kind of, tonight we're just talking about just the Persians, but the Medes and the Persians come in together. And that's where we pick up here. It's been about 100 or so years. Okay, so that's like the 4 or 5 kingdoms that just slowly chipped away at Israel. Here, Nehemiah in the first chapter is talking about returning to Jerusalem, returning to his homeland, returning to Israel. There were actually 3 different returns. This is kind of crazy. Like
this
the world, this is crazy. So, quick recap. First, the Assyrians came in, 721. Then the Babylonians, 586. Then the Persians and the Medians in 539 BC.
Okay.
Well, the first return to Israel, the Babylonians allowed some of the Jewish people to return to Israel in 538. I should have a whiteboard or something.
Yeah,
chart
we need a timeline.
in 538. So some of them go. Not all. Just some of them return to Jerusalem.
So basically, Assyrians come, then first return they go and help, and then Babylonians come.
Babylonians are the ones that start allowing them to return back.
Okay.
The Assyrian people, we're probably getting way into stuff here, were horrendous. I'm talking like the stuff you read about when you watch like the movie 300. Like that's
you
kind
can
of
watch anything on the History Channel. And they're
Assyrians are some rough. They were some rough people. It's never good to be taken captive, but the Babylonians were much more lenient. So the Babylonians started letting the return home. So they had to return under Zerubbabel, however you want to pronounce it, in 538, and then in 458, Ezra takes another group of people back to Israel, back to Jerusalem.
Remember Ezra, Nehemiah,
Esther. So that's the second return. So it's been about 90 years since the second return has happened. Okay. So Nehemiah is still under Persian captivity, under Persian rule, knowing, and I would think, hoping that, like you start dreaming about, like, man, I bet Jerusalem's booming. I bet they're really taking off. I'm praying
nobody's
God.
Been there 90
nobody's
years.
been. There's no contact in between.
I see.
Very, very little contact. So this book picks up with Nehemiah 90 years after the second group has gone, and he gets word back that it's actually in very, very pitiful shape. So his heart is broken for his people. So we pick up in the book of Nehemiah with Nehemiah going to the king and saying, hey, I would really like to take a group back to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. Let me do this. I feel like the Lord is going to let me do this.
One reason that we talked about what book we should read this week, and one reason that Nehemiah came to my mind is just because this is very tiny in comparison to rebuilding an entire group of people. But the thing that the coronavirus has sort of brought to my mind this entire time is that we're like all home and we are sort of like breaking everything down to the basics. And I feel like once we get our society back to quote unquote normal, we're going to start to rebuild our lives. And so that's sort of why I thought this would be an interesting book to read.
Yeah.
Because they're taking, here they are in Jerusalem starting from the bottom. They are building everything. And Nehemiah, my Bible says this book is probably taken from his personal prayer journals. This book has 10 different prayers that are recorded at different times. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's sad. Different times in the process of rebuilding Jerusalem, the entire city. He sort of has these like very personal prayers that kind of give you a light into the process along the way. And also, there's a lot of lists, which is why we felt like we could conquer. It might take us 2 weeks to do Nehemiah, we're not sure. But it's 12 chapters, but a lot of it is just documenting people's names. Like one of them is like, this guy did this part of the wall, this guy did this part of the wall. And it just sort of lists out all the names. But to me, that's cool. He's a leader, and he's wanting to like record which part of the job was completed by each person. So I thought it would be a really cool thing to read as we're all sort of like figuratively resetting our life in a certain way.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be exactly the way that it was before. Hopefully we can kind of improve on our old normal with our new normal. And so he did a good job of setting up how the society would be run and just all the structure. So that's what this book is really about. My Bible said that the book of Nehemiah records not only the physical rebuilding of the wall, but also the spiritual restoration of the people of Jerusalem.
Yep.
So I just think I'm excited to read it.
It was all focused, and we're going to see this as we get into this book. It's all focused on pretty much two things: the temple being built, like the walls of Jerusalem, like the center of the community being religion, their faith, and the institution of the family. He's huge on the individual family units being encouraged and strengthened as a unit. So it's like the families and their faith being strengthened together. I can think of nothing better for us as we continue to move forward with this stuff to try to solidify both of those things again. Right. The family unit and our faith, because those two things are vital to the Lord. Like he doesn't play with either one of those things. And it's healthy for a society. Like it's very, very healthy for a society to have that. So that's it. And you see in his prayers, this first prayer in chapter 1, the biggest thing, I didn't underline anything specifically, the biggest theme that kind of popped out of me is he's praying on behalf of a whole people group here. He's lifting up an entire people group in his own prayers, which is powerful to me. Like he's praying on behalf of the sins of his whole land, which isn't something we often do in corporate worship, in church, Like we say, Lord, God bless America. We know that song really well, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this is more than that. Like he's actually repenting on behalf of his land. He's repenting on behalf of his people, and asking the Lord to remember him. There's power in that. I think that we can still continue that today. Saying, Lord, man, we repent of these things in our house first, in our own lives first, but also as a people, we ask the Lord to remember those.
One thing that I read was that Nehemiah he worked in the palace for the king. He was the cupbearer. That was kind of a position of prominence, but he didn't
unless you get a bad cup. That's rough.
Unless you're poisoned and drink the poison.
You have to wonder, who did he replace?
You're not the king. You're not.
Why did he replace him?
Prominent.
That's what I'm saying. Every cup's
like
cheers.
A job opening came up, and you're like, was it the cupbearer's job? Because that means someone killed him.
Yeah.
No, but he was the one who'd taste the king's wine before the wine got to the king. So it's not the worst job in the world. Just.
It could. I mean,
as long as
it only takes one. It takes one upset little peasant out there.
It's all good until it's really bad. Anyway, he had a position of prominence in the kingdom, but my Bible said that he wouldn't have necessarily considered that position something a blessing from the Lord because of the situation that they were in. So when he finds out that Jerusalem is in rubble and destroyed, he prays to God for favor with the king that he will be able to go and repair the wall, that he would be the one that they would send. And he compares that to Esther, that he is in this time and place for just this opportunity. And that he kind of realizes that, that's why I'm in this. I have the ear of the king every single day. Maybe I can just ask him this favor and he will grant it. And he does. The king likes him and grants him his prayer.
Yeah.
So
that is solid. being attentive to that.
I
Why does the Lord have us
underlined.
here right now?
I underlined verse 9. The whole prayer is really neat, but I just really liked verse 9. He is. I'm trying to see. You acted very corruptly. Remember, praise the Lord. Let's see. Well, I'll just read verse 9. But if you return to me and keep my commands and do them, though some of you are cast out to the furthest part of heavens, yet I will gather them from there and bring them to the place where I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. So he's sort of reminding God, remember, you promised these people this. And even though we've been disobedient to you, we've let you down, we've tarnished your name, we haven't done any of these things. If you will give us this opportunity, he's saying, remember, God, you said you would bring us back. And then so he's really quoting a promise back to God and saying, this is what I'm asking you to do for our people.
That's a good thing to do. If you're
if
struggling
we
with
put
something,
your name ahead of
look at some
everything,
the
will you
promises.
reestablish our place? And then I think he considers the answer to the prayers that the king says, yeah, go do it.
Yeah,
And so he's like God's blessing his path to move forward.
that's good. I like that one, Shante.
That's all of chapter 1. That's
chapter 1. Kind of
That's
an
how
intro
far
there.
we made it.
So tomorrow night, I don't know. Let's look at
We
what
had a whole
first
history
couple
lesson, so
chapters.
I feel like
we
that
had a
was
lot.
enough.
There was a lot there, a lot of history, but it's really interesting to note before we close out that regardless of who was ruling, Assyrians, Babylonians, Medes and Persians, the Jewish people themselves, shortly after this comes the Romans, that God's message never changes. You know, his promise never changes. His blessing never changes. The authorities change. He doesn't change. That's good. And look, this is like from 700, this is 300 or 400 years. That's longer than the United States of America has been in existence. You know, this whole thing. These folks have had a rough go. Like the Israelites, they didn't have an easy thing. Like every generation, somebody else was taking over and treating them poorly. So we'll be looking at this again tomorrow night. What chapters you want to do? 2 and 3?
2 and 3 probably.
Let's look at 2 and 3. We'll just hit
3's a
some of the
little bit
highlights.
long, but really, it's not a hard read, and some of it really is just sort of like list of names.
Yeah,
So
listen,
I think
just memorize the names. We'll do a quiz.
we'll have a
We'll
quiz,
do a pop quiz,
a spelling quiz.
and we'll get into that one.
No, we will not. We can't even pronounce the words correctly tonight. So.
Some of us can't. So we'll be
Some of
here
us
tomorrow
said
night.
twibes.
It's twibes. Have fun
Okay.
memorizing the 12 twibes.
Chapters 2 and chapter 3. Chapter 2 and 3 tomorrow. That'll
Chapter
be
2
good.
and 3 in Nehemiah. We'll see you here. If y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, reach out to us, and we will do our best to answer them. All
Do
right?
what we can.
Remember, be praying for
Definitely.
Susan Calhoun and the Norris
And
family.
Miss Linda is, I don't think she's
Miss
here,
Linda's
but
not here
she's
tonight.
recovering from her shoulder
From her shoulder surgery,
so
and
keep
she's
her-
at her daughter's house, so be reaching out to Miss Linda and love on her as well. All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
Have a lovely evening. Talk to you later. All
Good
right.
night.